What's up, people? Welcome back to another episode of Stars and Garters. I'm Katie Pettit. Today is a Top 10 Tuesday, like a for real one, that I am going to record and do good. I should really start pre-recording these because Tuesday is a long day, but it's okay because I'm doing it now. And honestly, this is more for me than for you. So if I'm not on time, oh well, too bad, so sad. But anyway, today I know that I have a whole day devoted to Marvel, but I really like Marvel, you guys. So we are doing a Marvel themed top 10, specifically MCU themed, because the top 10 that I have for you today is the top 10 MCU moments. So, what I meant by this, kind of the criteria, just like moments that the first time I saw them just had a very strong and not even necessarily positive, just like a strong um, reaction, and is that my cat? My cat's on my bed. That's lovely. Anyway, just like a strong initial reaction, and then every time I've watched them since, they still get that same reaction. They're still like that awesome or that important or whatever it is. So yeah, and yes, the iconicness factor kind of played into it, but honestly, it didn't even have to, because if they're iconic, it's probably because they were so awesome. So, you know, there's that. But without further ado, here is my list of the top 10 MCU moments of all of it. Not even limiting to one phase of all the MCU. All right, start with number 10. At number 10, we have Dormammu. I've come to bargain. Now, this is an interesting one. It's the like so I haven't watched Doctor Strange in a minute, and the fact that this moment even came to me at all, despite that, it really shows how great of a moment it is for me, because I didn't even love Doctor Strange as a movie. I mean, I don't think it was a bad movie at all. It was a pretty entertaining movie. It's just not one of my favorites. Um, I don't love him as a character, but this moment of this movie was just such a great moment. So if you don't know, if you haven't seen Doctor Strange, or if you need a refresher, so at the end, Dormammu or Doctor Strange has to come and face Dormammu and stop him from taking over the world. So what he does is he starts out by saying, Dormammu, I've come to bargain, but he gets himself purposely stuck in a time loop. So every time Dormammu kills him, he comes back, and it just goes over and over and over again. Every time he dies, he comes back and he says, Dormammu, I've come to bargain, and Dormammu keeps killing him, and eventually he realizes that Dormammu realizes that he doesn't want to be stuck, and he'll just not deal with that. So, why this is such a great moment is because, through the whole movie, Doctor Strange has been, he's kind of a jerk, but he's for very reasonable reasons. He has a very good reason to be a jerk, because he was an awesome surgeon, and he kind of, had his whole life revolve around that, and, without his hands, everything's kind of not working for him. So nothing's really going well. In his life, and just so many bad things are happening. So he's kind of salty, he's snarky, and he doesn't really like doing, anything. He doesn't understand or like being a wizard, he's kind of still weirded out by that. But so this is the moment where all throughout the movie, he finally is, it's a such a big moment, and it's what all the movies leading up for, because for him as a sorcerer, he is he's created this time loop, and he is done that. But for him as a character, it's really important, because it's him showing that he's willing to die infinite amount of times, because he knows that Dormammu won't be able to hurt the Earth, or destroy it or whatever. So just it's it's such a nice moment, like considering all of the movie and Doctor Strange as a character. It's like it's pretty. It's just it's not even like satisfying. It's not the right word. It's just it feels like it feels right. It fits, and it's um just a good superhero moment. Of course, like he doesn't have to die infinite times, but like just the fact that he's saying that he would is very important and a big character moment for him. He's still a jerk sometimes, but he has learned to be a jerk who would also die for people. So yeah, Dormammu, I've come to bargain. Awesome moment. All right. So number nine comes from a movie who I just learned is apparently who a movie which that I don't know a movie that I've just learned is apparently like controversial and not liked by many because I liked it. I thought it was great. It has one of my it has I mean it has my favorite Marvel MCU villain, and out of all of the villains, so uh, you know, it's like I didn't know that people didn't like it, but apparently people think it was like a little iffy and weird messaging. I don't know. I don't know what it was. Um, but I'm talking about Age of Ultron. And this moment, maybe it's not the most important moment in the whole movie, but it's such a big and like shocking and intense moment that especially because I like the character so much that is involved. But at number nine, we have Quicksilver's sacrifice in Age of Ultron. So the reason I picked this moment is like again, all these moments that are just like I didn't even have I thought I was gonna have to like do some research and like remind myself of oh yeah, I like this moment. But all of these moments just like came to me and I was like, this is a great moment. So I wasn't even like that's not one of it's not one of the first things that came to my mind, but the fact that it was one of the things that came to my mind is like just reminds me of how great a moment it was because it's so memorable. But anyway, basically what I'm talking about is there's this character in Age of Ultron. His name is Pietro. He's technically Quicksilver. Nobody really called him that in the movie. He doesn't really get a superhero name, but that is his superhero name. So, with Quicksilver, he starts out as a bad guy, and then he gets recruited by the Avengers after learning Ultron's like really bad intentions. Um, he's teaming up with the Avengers, and all the Ultron robots are attacking. And there's this little kid that's out in like the middle of everything, and Hawkeye grabs him, but then this Ultron robot starts like gearing up to shoot them a lot, and so Quicksilver, he's a speedster, and so he runs around them a bunch of times and gets shot up, and he dies instead. So yeah, that moment is just it's this the like one of the biggest like arguments for being such a great moment is that it gets the same reaction every time I watch it. It's just it never is less sad. It's never less like sad, and it's never less good for you like Pietro. Like that's awesome, but also it's so sad. It's that same reaction every time. Like I was I like I watched Age of Ultron most recently on like a bus to some camp or something, and still I was like after that I was just like oof. Just the whole overall feeling is just oof because it's like it's so awesome that he did that, but like he died. So everything about that moment is just it was done so well. It gets it just hits different every time. And that's really impressive when you can have somebody's like this character death feel so sad and so intense every time, even though you know it's happening. Um, and it's also like it's a great it's a great moment again for Pietro as a character because he started off as a villain, and again he is dying to protect this one kid. And you also have it also ends up being a big moment for Wanda as it contributes to a lot of her mental breakdown. Um, Not quite yet, but it definitely is a factor into it. And it's just like it seems kind of inconsequential, like in the huge scale of the MCU, but just when you watch the movie and when you think about Wanda, when you look at those things, it is a really big and really well done, and just it's not awesome is not the right word because it's not good, but like just really just very well done moments that very memorable, very like lasting, I guess, moments. And like I think I really like Quicksilver anyway. I mean, he's a really cool character, but you know, it was just it's so intense every time this happens, and it's a very well done moment. So it gets a spot on my list. All right, moving on to number 8. Now this one I definitely knew was a not super liked movie. I liked it. I didn't know where the not liking this was coming from. Maybe there one part with the CGI was really bad, but besides that, I overall enjoyed this movie. Maybe I wasn't looking hard enough. I mean, it had Bill Murray, so like, come on, man, what more do you want? But of course, I'm talking about Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Quantumania. There we go. So this is a more recent one. I'm putting it on my list. It's my list, but um, I've seen even a lot of people who have not liked this movie. I've read a lot of articles and stuff, and even people who don't like this movie like this moment. They say that this was like the one bright spot of the movie, or like one of I don't know. You know, they a lot of people appreciate this moment even if they don't like the whole movie, which is a very good thing. It's it makes it a really great moment if you can kind of uh bring up an entire movie a couple points. So even though I already like the movie, this moment too stands out to me as one of the more really cool moments. So at number 8, I have the probability storm from Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. So what this is while Ant-Man is in the quantum realm, he gets stuck in this place where he is with every single different possible version of himself there could be. So that's like a lot. And he has to get them all to work together to get him out of there and get him to be able to save his daughter. And so basically, that's the main thing of it. He does get them to work together, and they form like this kind of ant-like structure to get him up and out of there. But first of all, one of the reasons this moment is so okay. One of the reasons this moment is so cool is because first of all, like it just looks really cool. Like it it's so like for a movie that also has some really bad moments of visuals and CGI, it like this moment is so good. Like it looks so cool, and you have just all of the Ant-Mans, I guess, since there's not actually multiple, it's just one guy, but there's multiple of him, so I guess it's mans. But anyway, it was just so visually appealing, and especially when they do start to work together at the end and form that whole thing that helps them get up. It's like it's so smooth looking. But like for me, the best thing about this moment, especially when I was watching it, because I watched it with my dad. I don't know if I was sitting next to him, but it would have been even better if I was, because the best thing about this moment to me is the way he is able to get all of his different selves to work together is because he says they all want the same thing or something like that. And so if you didn't watch the movie, or if you don't know, like, so obviously it's not said or anything, but if you were watching the movie, you know the one thing they all want is to protect Cassie, his daughter. So that moment, like specifically that part of it, it all looks great. It's really cool and it's fun. It's a great moment and those other things, but that part specifically is just like that's very much Ant-Man. Like that's just who Scott is, and we like this is how we've come to know Scott, and he loves his daughter like more than anything else. And when he said when he said they all want the same thing, that just like that hit for me. Because he's not even a great superhero, but he's a great dad. And it's just awesome to see that like big character thing, you know, about him. It's one of the biggest things about him. It's like he doesn't have a lot of stuff that the other superheroes have, but as a person, he's like a genuinely good person and dad. So it's just that was the main appeal of this whole moment, is that they all want the same thing. They all want Cassie to be safe. So just that was really awesome and nice. Um so yeah, and like even if you didn't like the movie, just like that one moment is very it's just again, it's so well done and it's very memorable. And everything about it is just very good. So um yeah, it's a very redeeming moment, I guess. If you didn't like it. If you did like it, it's just another good moment, but it's great. So, all right. Number 7. This actually probably is a little low, for some other people, but you know, it's my list and it's right where I want it. Because, honestly, Iron Man is not. I I like him more than Cap, but that's like the main comparison. Compared to a lot of other characters, he's not a favorite per se. I like him. He's cool. You know, he's got a nice personality and he's, you know, really smart, so that's nice. But he's never been like a huge favorite or anything, you know. But doesn't matter how much you like his character. This moment is just too important and too defining for the rest of the MCU, and too like everything is led up to this. Because at number 7, I am Iron Man, but the last one he says. Not the first time he says it, the last time he says it. Because I'm talking about when he takes the stones from Thanos and snaps, and he says, "I am Iron Man." So, and he dies. Spoilers. I wonder if I should actually mark spoilers or something. I don't know. If you know what, whatever, I'll decide later. But so yeah, again, I wasn't like the first time I saw it, I was actually still pretty young. I was probably like under 13, but I don't want to do the math. I don't. When did it come out? 2019? No, I'm not doing the math. But I was probably 13 or under, so I wasn't like, you know, I didn't notice many things about these movies, and I've noticed a lot more rewatching them. But like, even I knew that this was like such a huge deal for him, and so it's just it's like so important and so big in so many ways. It's like first of all, obviously, it's the way they win. It's the thing that makes them win. Everything else that is happening around them, like it's important and it matters. But like, if he hadn't done that, they wouldn't have won, because Doctor Strange said that's the one way they win is if Tony dies. And like, again, similarly to Doctor Strange, Tony just he like started out as this. He's such a jerk. He's kind of a jerk. He's still hero, but like that's kind of just how he is as a person. So like, for him to do something this big, and like it's the thing he's been worried about the whole time. He doesn't want to let go of this whole new life he has, and he doesn't want to die because he has a daughter and he's happy and stuff. And for him to just let go of all of that and like sacrifice himself is so important for him as a character. And it's like it has the biggest impact because of that they won. But also it's obviously super super sad. Um, Especially when he like you just all of the characters' reaction like really solidify how important it is because like you have little child Peter not really knowing what's going on, and then you have Pepper telling him that they're gonna be okay, which is really important because he obviously again it's just he loved his family so much, but she told him they were gonna be okay without him. And just the funeral, like so many people went to his funeral and like were genuinely sad because even like, and that's even though he was a jerk, he was, he still like died a hero. He still did the right thing, and it's so huge and it's so important. And like we didn't know who was gonna be the one to die when we went to see that. We didn't unless you saw it late. But I mean, like with the people who saw it when it came out, like me, we didn't know who was gonna be the one to die. We knew somebody. We knew probably a lot of somebodies were gonna die. And we probably suspected it was gonna be Iron Man, but just for him to go out like that, not that it was unexpected, it was just like still very heavy and important and like intense. So it, everybody knows how important this moment is if they've seen it. And it had such a big impact on the rest of the MCU and on so many characters. Um, and yeah, it's a big one. It's a huge moment. Even though I don't love the character, I can still see how big of a moment it is. All right, moving on to number 6. So guess what? I chose to include a moment from one of the TV shows because they are part of the universe. Um, kind of. Yes, yeah, they are. In a weird way. In a different way. But they still definitely are canon to 616. But this one is from the first one of those shows. It's from WandaVision. And this one was a lot because I love the character so much and it was so big for her as a character. But like also it's so sad and it's so well done and it just again it hits every time. The Maximoffs have it so rough. Like they're they're just not having a fun time a lot of the time. So, but at number 6, I have from WandaVision, Wanda erases her family. So, if you didn't watch WandaVision, basically the plot is that Wanda creates a version of Vision in her, like a fake made up version of him in her mind. And she enslaves this town and makes them live out her and Vision's perfect little sitcom-y kind of life. And they have twins and all of this stuff. But by the finale, Wanda realizes that she should not be enslaving these people. But to let them go, she has to erase her family because obviously they're like not real. And they're tied to the fake little world that she's built. So to let all the people go, she has to also get rid of her family. So the moment I'm talking about is like the very last moments where she tears down all the walls and uh, she kind of says goodbye and all that. So obviously this one is again very sad. Like I said, Maximoffs did not get it easy ever. Like they still Wanda never got a happy ending. Like I mean, some Wanda out there in the universe did, but the 616 Maximoffs are not having a good time. But they are making some really good choices. So if you watched WandaVision, like it's this whole journey with Wanda because she's had a really bad time. She lost her brother and then she lost her boyfriend. Man, nope. I was gonna say it sounds weird because they're older, but man friend is way worse. Um, yeah, that's the best word I'm gonna come up with is boyfriend. So we're gonna leave it at that. Um, but anyway, so she is. It's just you see her go through all this stuff. Like she's just so sad and angry, and you see some more stuff that she's been through, like not being able to have his body, and just everyone like being mad at her and wanting to take Vision back because he's a robot, which he technically is, but he's also like he's pretty stinking sentient, like sentient. There it is. He's pretty sentient. Like, have you not seen him do anything? Like he's pretty there, you know. But yeah, so she goes through this whole thing, and like to see her finally at the end, like she literally has to, like she again like she already went through this in Infinity War and it didn't work. So she again has to actively destroy the people that she loves to make something right. But this it's on a bigger scale because she like it's on a different kind of scale, I guess, because when she killed Vision in Infinity War, it was, like kind of for the world, which is a very big scale. But for this it was not just Vision, it was also her kids that she had to get rid of. Um and even though it was just to free one town, it was still very big for her because they finally had a like totally perfect life. So, um yeah, it's like it's so rough every time, but it gets like it's a series of great like mini moments that add up to this one whole thing. The whole time, like she's going through the process of taking down all this stuff, and she comes to the part where she has to get rid of Vision and the kids. Just she when she's saying goodbye to them, it's just so sad, but she deals with it so well because she knows that it's right and that she's like freeing these people. And then the awesome line, I don't know who came up with what Vision tells her, but he tells her what is grief if not love persevering. So like that's an awesome line. I don't like I'm not saying the MCU doesn't have awesome lines. I'm just saying that is like really awesome. Like somebody had like that feels very it feels almost irregularly awesome for like a line. I feel like that's the MCU has a lot of great things. I feel like great lines, like great quotes, I guess, and not like like genuinely great quotes, not like great because they're funny or that kind of thing. Um, I don't know. I could be wrong, but like that was very, very good quote. And it's like it's one of the last things he says to her, and it's just the whole moment is so sad every time again. Like it's sadder. I think it gets sadder when you rewatch it, especially knowing what they did to her in Multiverse of Madness. It kind of takes me off a little bit when I watch it. I'm like, wow, she did all of this, and then you're kind of like, actually, that doesn't count. She's angry again. But whatever. I digress. We're gonna focus on this moment that happened before all that. But she handles it so well, even though it's like the saddest thing, and she's having to do it again, like again. Even though it wasn't, she didn't actively kill Pietro, but still, it's like she's having to let go of people again, and it's sad, but she's still doing it, and she's being very strong about it. So it's so good for her as a character, but it always hits every single time. And it's sad. Like again, I think the last time I watched this series again was in a car, and I was still sad. Like it's just it doesn't matter when you watch it or how you watch it or how long it's been or if you just watched it. It doesn't matter. It's still so sad, but also so important and like good for the character. Not like good, but like you know what I mean. I don't know. I don't exactly know what I mean, but I do in my brain, and I think you can figure it out. But yeah, very well done moment there. Very good way to wrap up that series. All right, at number 5, we have an incredibly iconic moment. Kind of maybe it made the MCU. Uh, it's a big deal. So I'll go ahead and say it. At number 5, I have the Avengers first fight, and I know you're all picturing the same scene right now. If you're an MCU fan, if you're not, you're like, what are you talking about? I mean, the circle shot where they're all lining up and they're all getting ready to go. Because that moment is like, it's so iconic at this point when they all team up to fight Loki. And like, when you think of it in the grand scheme of things, there have been bigger threats than Loki, and Loki's actually a good guy now. There have been so many new people added to the Avengers, and some people have died and or gone away from the Avengers. Like, so many things have changed from that moment, but like, you can't mess up. Like, you can't do anything that makes it less awesome. Because just seeing them all, you know these characters, or, I mean, you definitely know Iron Man. I think would know Cap at this point. I don't know when his movie came out. But you've seen these characters, and at least through the course of this movie, you've like gotten to know them, and you see this threat, and you're waiting for them to team up and just go fight this guy and be Avengers, and it happens, and it's awesome, and it's so sick. And I think the fight is included in this moment. It's just like the the embodiment of that whole fight at the end is that one shot where they're all grouping together, because it's the idea of them finally getting together as the Avengers to go fight. Like, that's the point of it. That's why it's oh my goodness, I'm dying. That's why it's so awesome. I'm not If you're just listening, I'm not crying. I'm just, my throat is giving out on me for some reason. But anyway, it's so awesome. it's it's so important, and if you're an MCU fan, you just know this moment. I'm sorry, I don't know how bad my voice sounds right now. I feel like it might sound really bad, but I'm gonna keep talking because I have 4 more to go. Or 5. No, that's not math. Anyway, so just, it's one of the most important moments for the MCU. Like, it's one of the moments that made the whole MCU. I think, I mean, like, I'm pretty sure, I don't feel like a lot of people would fight me on that. So, the Avengers first fight, and specifically that shot, just that moment, because we're talking about moments. Awesome. So sick. All right. So here we have kind of in the scheme of the on number 4, we kind of have in the scheme of the movie, not a huge, not like a long or a necessarily, I guess not necessarily super important moment, or super, like it's not one of the biggest like things story wise, I guess. But if you are an Avengers fan and you've been following these characters, you freaked out when this happened because it was awesome. Even my dad got pumped up, and he doesn't, like, if he's in the movie theater, he's not gonna he's not gonna like yell anything, and he didn't yell anything, but he I could tell he was really hyped up. Like, he showed physical signs of being hyped up. I think he did a fist pump or something, because I'm talking about at number 4, Cap wields Mjolnir in Avengers Endgame. So yeah, I mean, if you were following the Avengers, if you've been following Cap and you've looked at his whole story, and you know Thor and the worthy Mjolnir thing, like, and you've only seen Thor be able to hold this thing, except, did Thor Ragnarok come out before this? I don't know. Probably. Maybe? I don't know. Yes, because Loki wasn't dead. So, uh, yes, Hela technically did, but she's a bad guy, so we don't like her. But when Thor, and it was done so well because we just the whole fight is going on. Thor is about to die, and Thanos is about to stab him. Well, I guess that maybe wouldn't kill him. Thor's he's pretty sturdy, but anyway, uh, Thanos is about to stab him real bad, and he's lost Mjolnir. So we see Thanos get hit with Mjolnir. We don't see who throws it, but we see him get hit in the head with Mjolnir, and then it comes back, and we see just Cap standing there, and he catches it, and it's so awesome. I didn't even know it was coming. My dad probably did. And then of course I've rewatched the movies, and they definitely teased it in Age of Ultron. If you were paying attention, in the scene where everyone tries to lift Thor's hammer, uh, Steve lifts it, and Thor goes. He makes a face like, "Oh, okay," because he knows that Steve is about to lift it. But of course, Steve is too humble, or maybe it just wasn't the moment. For whatever reason, he doesn't lift it then. But finally, Cap gets to fight with Mjolnir, and it's so awesome because, of course, Cap is worthy of Mjolnir. That's like, duh. I didn't even know it was coming, but I should have, because, of course, he's like, what? He's the most goodest boy ever. And he doesn't, like, barely ever does anything bad, and he's not mean. He's a nice person. Like, he's just a good boy all around, and he's not even like, he's not just a good boy, he's like a hero too. So there's nothing wrong with him. So of course he would be able to wield Mjolnir. Um, but yeah, like, I mean, it makes so much sense, but still, to just see it happen is so awesome. Every single time, it's just like, yes, yes, Cap, because even like when the initial reaction of it was, oh snap, someone else gets to hold Mjolnir. But every time now that I know it's coming, it's more like, of course, Cap gets hold Mjolnir, like, get him, Cap. Because it just made so much sense, and it was so perfectly done, and it was just awesome. And also seeing him fight with it, the whole, like, everything he does, just so cool. It's awesome. So, yeah, that's it. Alright, getting up to the podium. At number 3, I think we have another very iconic and recognized as a really awesome moment by many people, moment, and it's not a niche moment. It's pretty recognized, but I agree with the people, cause it's awesome. The people are actually right on this one. It is really, really awesome. I mean, it's not a great thing for the characters necessarily. It's kind of sad if you think about it, but it's just so awesome. So, yeah. At number 3, I have the airport fight from Captain America Civil War. So, if you didn't watch that, if you didn't know, or just to recap, refresh your memory. So the Avengers are in an argument because they don't, or they do, want to sign the Sokovia Accords, which basically make them have to respond to the government whenever they do superhero things. Because bad things happen when superhero things happen, because it's kind of hard to not break things when you're superheroing. Uh, and, that's not great. But so it kind of comes to this head, and they go fight in an airport. So there's a lot more to it than that. That sounds really stupid. If you haven't watched it, it's not stupid. It means things. But basically, they are I'm just telling you why they're fighting, because of this thing. They don't just like, oh, we're gonna go fight in an airport. There's a thing about it, but I don't want to explain it right now. So, yeah. You have Team Cap versus Team Iron Man. I always get mixed up who's on each side, but, like, if I think about it, I can remember. But, like, initially, I get mixed up about which is on which side. I think they're also in an argument about Bucky at this point. Anyway, so it's just it's so sick. It's so sick. It's such a good fight. And like the moment where they line up and just are looking at each other and like they all kind of look like this is a real bad idea, but I guess it's happening. It's so awesome and it's super tense. And then when they start running at each other, it's just like, oh, there's like so much excitement. I mean, it shouldn't be excitement, but it is. Like you're making me excited because okay, let's be honest. We love to see heroes fight each other. We eat that stuff up. Like, and we probably shouldn't. We should probably want them to always be working together against the bad guys, but it's so awesome when heroes fight each other. It's so cool. And this was an instance of that. It's just all of the all of the fighting stuff is super cool. It just looks cool, and you're seeing these characters like they are friends and they like each other, but they have to fight each other, and it just is. It's all each part is so cool, and if you think about it a little more and ignore how really cool the fighting is, it's also really important because there's a lot of there's a lot of tension because it's not a great thing for them to be doing. So yeah, that it's like it's the combination of just being like so sick, but also if you take the time to think about it, really important for the MCU, and like it affects a lot of the rest of the stuff. Like it gets into Infinity War, and there's a lot of bad things that come because of this, but it's also so cool. So yeah. All right. So I I guess to have as a number 2 something that's not an Avengers moment might be a little controversial. I don't know, I don't care, but it is not an Avengers moment. And number 2, it's from my favorite Marvel movie of all time though, with one of my favorite Marvel characters of all time. And they're just it's just okay. Let me just tell you what it's because I can't say any more without completely going into it. At number 2, I have the 3 Spider-Men from Spider-Man No Way Home. When Andrew Garfield, Tom Holland, and Tobey Maguire, their Spider-Men, team up and they fight the bad guys on the tower, it's so satisfying and amazing and just like so geeky. If you love Spider-Man, this moment should have given you everything you wanted out of it. Like, I don't think my cat is giving me a look right now. Do you see? She's like glaring at me. Anyway, it's just like if you like Spider-Man, it's just so it's awesome. It's so awesome. It was awesome to see even like Toby and Andrew show up. But now you're seeing them be Spider-Man and actually get to fight together and coordinate their Spider-Man things and do the it's and fight Spider-Man villains and do iconic Spider-Man stuff, all of them together. It's so awesome and it's just the perfect gift to Spider-Man fans. Um is it fan service? Yeah, it's fan service and I love it. I'm a fan. I would like to have that. So, yeah, it's awesome. They have like it's just again, it's so many little things that they do that's just like so Spider-Man and so important to Spider-Man and it's just put in there so well and it's all this big huge thing that's just so awesome in every way. One of my favorite parts of them teaming up and having to fight the villains is where MJ gets knocked off the tower and she's falling and Andrew Garfield is the one who catches her. That I was not expecting. So when I saw in the trailer MJ falling, like what's her face? Gwen fell, I was like, okay, I have no idea where they're gonna go with that. Are they gonna have her die? Are they gonna have Tom do the same thing but succeed? Like, what's gonna happen? For some reason, maybe I should have seen it coming, but I never I never could have predicted that Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man would be the one to go and save MJ, but that was just so perfect because it was also it was both really sad but also really awesome for him to finally like save someone like that. And then, of course, the rest of the fight is just awesome because Spider-Man is fighting for Spider-Man villains like Spider-Man, so that's great. I kind of love that. But yeah, that moment never ceases to get me hyped up. It's awesome. The whole movie is awesome, and this moment kind of represents what's awesome about the whole movie. So yeah, there's that. All right. My mom told me to hurry up, so I'll try to do this not hurried, but still fast. So, for number one, I feel like this people will be pretty, like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Because it's like everything the MCU had been leading to. It matters. It's like the most important thing. It has so many people that we care about, and it's like what the whole movie's been leading up to, but also it's just so big and important, and it's like literally large scale. Like uh and not only that, it's just like big in a sense of, all right, like this is the moment of this movie that needs to go well. Of course, at number one, I am talking about the Endgame final fight from Avengers Endgame. So, if you don't know, which you should by now, but if you don't know, at the end, not at the end, but near the end of Endgame, when the Avengers who are still there have been fighting Thanos, and they've snapped. So they've snapped and brought everyone back, but we've not gotten to see anyone come back yet. Um, so Cap gets a little buzz in his ear thing, and he hears "on your left," which is a big deal if you don't know about that, but that's kind of him and Sam's thing. And he looks, and there's a Doctor Strange portal, and then there's a lot of Doctor Strange portals, and all the people come out of the portals. And I mean, all the people. Like, people, just, it's like, our theater, like, we had a small theater, so I guess there weren't the most, like, super geeks in there. There were a lot of, people were excited. But, like, the things I've heard that have happened in theaters when this has happened, like, it's just people screaming for an hour. Like, honestly, though, it's reasonable. It's so awesome. You just see all these characters who were, like, dead last movie, who you haven't seen the whole movie. You see, it's, like, so cool for them to be back, but also just the fact that there are so many of them. It's like all of them are here, and they're back, and they're gonna fight Thanos, and it's gonna be awesome. Um, and so it's just like all of your favorite characters are going to be there because all the characters are there. So you're going to be happy no matter what. And it just looks so epic, even when they're just like getting ready to like go fight. Like even when they're just preparing, it just looks so cool because there's so many of them. And of course, they have some other like little character moments before, like Tony seeing that Peter is alive is an important thing. Um, but and then of course when Cap gets in the middle and he says, "Avengers assemble," to all of them. Yes, I know he shouldn't have whispered it. They probably didn't hear him, but shut up. It's a movie. Things don't work out like they would in reality. That's why we watch movies. So just shh and deal with it, cause it's awesome. And when he said Avengers assemble and they all started running, it was just, there was so much hype, just like so much, it was like literal giddiness, cause it's just all the characters are going to fight the bad guys. And it just had so many perfect moments. Like, how do you not get a bunch of perfect moments when you team up all the heroes to fight with a huge army of bad guys? And like, yeah, it was just everyone got a moment. They had that sick little team up with all the ladies coming together, and they had all the things. And even though the like big giant battle wasn't what ultimately ended it, it was just like, as far as a moment that is so awesome every single time, this one just wins. because all of the characters just coming together and doing their thing together and being Avengers, and it's just awesome, like every time. So yeah, that's like, it's even like the just how awesome the 3 Spider-Man thing is. This is still so much more awesome than that. It's so sick, and it is a solid #1 MCU moment of all time. So yeah, that is the list. That was really fun. I got pretty excited about that because, you know, the MCU's been struggling a little bit, but it has done really awesome, cool things with the people and things and stuff. So I have faith that maybe once again it can do the awesomeness. It's just a little hard because, you know, they've been struggling a little bit, but it's okay. So yeah, let me know what your favorite MCU moment is. Maybe it's something from this list. Maybe you think I missed something. Tell me these things. Like, share, subscribe, follow, do all the things. And I will see you guys next time. Peace.